Hi, Madonna Louise Veronica Ciccone here.
When will you understand that I am a person and not a thing?
Look it up.
Do something else. Do my eyebrows.
Better to say, am I being true to myself? And is this what I want to say? And have I expressed myself the way I want to express myself? I mean, that's what it's all about. Hi, this is Reshma Gajjar, and you are listening to MLVC, the Madonna podcast.
Hey guys, it's Tony, and I'm frozen. Not like the song. I'm literally frozen because it's 20 degrees here.
Yeah, we are freezing here in New York City. Hello, everybody. This is Stefan. Thanks for joining us for another episode of MLVC, the Madonna podcast, your place for all things Madonna Louise Veronica Ciccone. We are so happy to welcome Reshma Gajjar to the podcast. Reshma, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for
I love
carving
your face. This is great.
I know somebody asked us the other day, "Oh, are you guys going to start doing video?" And I'm like, no.
It's complicated.
It's just so we can see each other.
But it is nice to see your face, just
Yes,
so you know.
it is.
'Cause I've done podcasts and I can't see the face. This is a totally different kind of podcast. It's nice.
We started out completely blank. Like we haven't. You're brand new to the video, so
Yeah.
I'm
But
glad
it's
I
fun.
could break this in.
I love seeing a smiling face from sunny California.
Well, actually,
Yes.
it's raining today, so
Oh.
total rains today and yesterday, but we need the rain. So
Yeah, you guys need
all
it.
good.
So.
Yes.
How is Los Angeles in COVID land these days?
Well, as you know, it's like the numbers are pretty intense in LA. It's easing up. I remember back in like March of last year, it was like coming from the East Coast and everybody was like praying for New York. And I feel like the times have reversed.
Yeah.
It has been pretty intense. And I feel like I've reverted back to those times when we were very diligent. My mother now lives with us. So I've always been pretty diligent about COVID protocols. And ever since the numbers got really big and really high in LA and the hospitals are really full, we just reverted back to the times when we were not even meeting people to socially distance. I just feel like safe at home is good. And it's also, you know, it's being a good role model. You know what I mean? Like trying to like, I don't want to encourage people to go out and feel like they're missing out on anything. I'm at home too. We're all at home and it's okay. And so that's where I'm at. I know everyone has a different story and a different experience, but that's where I'm at. And I've been very lucky. I live with the person that I'd be worried about. She's here. I don't have to worry about her. You know, I have a husband. I'm not alone. You know, I know everyone's COVID experience is completely different. And I really don't have anything to complain about, like I said. So why add to the suffering is how I feel about it, you know, and just be a light. Just be a lighthouse in this time, you know.
Yes.
For people to hold
that.
on to. Yeah.
Well, and you've been doing like some production work, right? You're back to work.
Yeah. So
is that like super crazy with all of the various restrictions that they have?
Yeah, and the way that every job has has approached COVID has been very different. I've done some jobs. So I was pretty much unemployed when COVID first hit, and then the union. I'm part of the union because I'm an actor dancer who works in film and television. So the union kind of set up finally like guidelines and protocols for COVID. And that took some months to put together. But now there's all these zones, like the red zone, the purple zone, you know, the actors who have to demask are in a specific zone. And so everybody knows when it's like action, shields, everyone's shielded, masked up. And then the actors or the dancers take off their masks, right? So,
oh, wow.
And which has been, you know, that is the risk that everybody's taking. Everybody, I'm risking, and then also the people who are masked. I'm not masked. You know, by masking, there's so many like feelings around it. And it's like you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting others. So in some, you know, it's like it's not just now I'm not masked, I'm at risk, but also everybody is. So like. So it's been really interesting. And also this particular job that I was just on that you're mentioning, they tested every day. I mean, it was like 3 to 5 times a week of testing.
So your nose was getting a good workout.
Yeah. Well, thankfully they did the mouth swab. I'm so grateful. The nose swab, whew, That was a hard one. But yeah, they did the mouth swab and they did a PCR test, which is more accurate. And that made us all feel safe. And I think that makes people accountable and encourages people to stay COVID safe, because by being COVID free, you can still work. Do you know what I mean? Like your job is to not get COVID. If you can't.
Right, but you're working twice as hard because, this adds to your workday. You're testing 2 hours a day almost, and, and putting all the, policies in place. So it's mental and physical.
Yeah. And so some jobs have been really, really diligent and great about it. And then some jobs are like, are you going to ask me to test? Are we all testing? Is everybody masking? Every situation has been interesting, like awkward dance. And at the end of the day, I realized, I have to be the one in charge to figure out what's going on with this production and protect myself and try to protect others instead of waiting for someone else to do that.
Yeah, you got to lead by example.
That was exactly the word. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, good one, Tony. Good. Well, before we get to some questions, why don't we give our audience a proper introduction to Reshma? Tony, will you do the honors?
Of course, I'd love to. Reshma Gajjar is a first-generation American performing artist. Currently living in Los Angeles, she grew up in Northern California and moved to Los Angeles on a scholarship to the Edge Performing Arts Center. She toured the world with Madonna as part of the Reinvention Tour and the Confessions Tour. She's also toured with Ricky Martin, worked with artists like Selena Gomez, Dua Lipa, Katy Perry, Justin Bieber, Hozier, the list goes on. She's worked on numerous music video, commercial, film, and television sets as an actor, dancer, and choreographer. She's recently been seen as the ingénue in the yellow dress stuck in traffic in the Oscar-winning film La La Land. That, unforgettable. Reshma prioritizes a balance with one foot in the commercial entertainment industry, in the other in the art world, dancing in companies, live performance, art events, modeling and fashion campaigns, and acting in independent films. Welcome, Reshma.
Thank you.
Some of the dance videos that you have on your website are so beautiful. It made me just want to get up and do performance art. I just felt like I just needed to be very dramatic in my apartment.
I welcome it.
Yeah, and I was like, can I bend like that? But but it doesn't matter because you just got to move and just feel through it.
That's right.
Yeah, I hurt my lower back doing something. I don't know. I was like, maybe it was doing the performance art.
Yes.
I had to pop some Advil. All right, so
I discovered Advil recently.
I was going to say, as a dancer, you must know injuries and how to fine tune your body. I'm assuming this is not a planned question, but I assume as a dancer, you've had to sort of dance through the pain on numerous occasions. Yes,
always. Yes, always. And I'm one of those dancers who wants to feel the pain, because if I can feel it, I know it's still there, and I got to be careful. Which is why I only just recently discovered Advil, because I would never take Advil. I'd just be like, it's still there. My ankle still hurts. So I got to be careful. I want to feel it. And so, it was only 2 years ago that I discovered Advil. Because this is another tangent, but I was on this long trip. I was doing this, I basically hiked from the north to the Grand Canyon, from the southern rim to the north rim.
Nice.
I did the whole thing. And I needed Advil for that. And it was like, oh my God, this is why people take Advil. I don't even feel my body anymore. This is amazing. Anyway, so.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of feeling your body, I don't know how I'm connecting my segue from this to Madonna. I was thinking, I'm like, Madonna body. I was like, but so you first toured with Madonna on her Reinvention tour. How did that come about? What do you remember from the tour? I'm assuming it was a challenge.
Oh, wow. Reinvention tour was like a dream come true. So Reinvention tour was a pinnacle of so many things in my life. But the way that I got to Reinvention tour was such an incredible story. I was actually not supposed to be at that audition. I was on a different tour. I was on this little tour with this artist named Stacey Orico. And we were in South Korea or Japan. I forget where the last dates of our tour leg was. And we were supposed to fly in on a certain day, right? And when I saw that everybody was flying kind of direct to where they needed to go, and we were doing this whole like circular to get to LA, I asked the manager or somebody, I was like, can we fix that? Because I'd like to maybe just do a straight shot to where I'm trying to go to LA. And I was on this tour, this for Stacey Rico with Rystella. Do you remember Rystella? She was also in Reinvention tour. So we were both on.
I think, I think I remember the name.
Yeah, we were both on Reinvention. On Stacey Rico, and when we asked for our dates to change for our flight, we both landed in LA together from an international flight. Both of us turned on our phones, and both of us got the like, "Hi, today," our agents. "Today is the Madonna audition. I'm not sure if you guys are back in town or not, but if you are, you should try and make it." And I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to make this. Like, I'm landing from an international flight. I got to go home. I got to change. I look cute. And then I'm going to drive in traffic to get this. It's not happening. Rystella was like, I'm going. And then I was like, oh, snap. Okay, well, then I got to go, right? I'm like, I can't not go. Like, then that's just like not good. So we both went home, changed, blah, 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 show up to the Reinvention tour auditions where there was like hundreds of people. Okay, hundreds of people, as you can only imagine. And I'm not even kidding you. This audition was like a 4-day long process. I'm sure you already heard about it from other dancers from that tour, but that audition process.
Tamara sort of keyed us in a little bit.
Yeah, it was like first day cuts, second day new combo, third day dancers from all over the world competing against you. Fourth day Madonna comes. There's a freestyle section. There were just so many elements to this audition. But can I just tell you guys that me and Rystella were the only dancers who booked it from LA. And we weren't supposed to be there. We were supposed to still be in the air flying back.
On a layover.
Yes. And that, when I think about that, I'm like, wow, that is just death. Like, some things you can only prepare so much, and the rest of it is total destiny. Like that.
Well, you had to rewrite. Yeah, you had to rewrite your flight to await your destiny.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
It was totally meant to be, and it's bizarre. But the tour itself, to answer the second question, it was a total dream come true. I mean, it was just everything about it. It was such a there was a lot of money. There was a lot of budget in that tour. So we were staying in really nice hotels. There were a lot of like perks. There was a lot of like, I feel like there's always parties and gatherings, but this was also my first big job. So for so many reasons, it was just, I was on cloud 9 the whole time. We were flying like charter planes sometimes. We never saw a tour bus. Like, it was just like, it was
me.
No, I know, but this is the funny part about the story is like, that's the top. And it only went down, like in the dance world, like there is no like ladder that you keep climbing up and like you just keep. It was like I had the reverse experience as far as my tour life went. It just like the money just kept getting less and less. But that it didn't matter. I mean, I loved all the tours I've been on, but I'm just saying the first one was just like the bar that it was just pretty incredible, and the people were amazing. We were just really, really close. We all auditioned together. It was a documentary. We all bonded. It was like we were so tight, and it was so full of light. I just remember it feeling so full of light, so close. And we were just like, we loved each other. It was such a fun. There was no drama. It was just great. It was so much fun. It was one of my favorite jobs, really, to be honest.
Reshma, who was the main choreographer for that tour?
Well, Jamie King was the artistic director, and then he brought on, I think Liz Imperio did a number of Hanky Panky. I think, I believe Rich and Tone came on that. Who else was choreographing for that? Oh yeah, Rich and Tone did Vogue and a bunch of the other numbers.
Oh, that Vogue is incredible. Yeah, I mean, the Reinvention tour was the first time Madonna did like a greatest hits review of her career, her music career. So coming into it, and you saw the set list, like what numbers were you just like, I cannot wait to just dive in and do this, because a lot of those were iconic from when we were growing up, and all of a sudden it's like, here's your task, you have to perform this song.
Yeah. And I am definitely more knowledgeable of her greatest hits than her newer music. And so when Reinvention became not about American Life, right? That was the actual collaboration. It was like American Life with greatest hits.
Yeah.
I wasn't really familiar with American Life. Is that the right name of the album? I'm assuming
Yes.
it is. You guys would know.
Yeah.
I was really grateful that it was the greatest hits because I love the greatest. They're her oldies, That's what I grew up on too. And so, Vogue, obviously.
Hello.
Obviously.
And she hadn't done it in the previous tour, so this was like the
and it was
comeback for
done
Vogue.
really well. I mean, I gotta say, when Madonna trots out Vogue in a tour, usually she stamps it really well on that specific tour. And I think like Reinvention tour was always a fan favorite just because it was so opulent and so like the choreography was so fun to watch. It was like a little bit of old school Vogue, but reinterpreted, reinvented.
Right. That's right.
And then Hello, you guys did those upside down bridge walks back on us. And I was like, I don't even know how they're doing that. Like,
Madonna had to show off her yoga expertise. This was her
flexibility. That's right.
Her coming out party.
I remember seeing that. And I'm like, I don't even think I could do a backwards bridge, much less walk down a stage while I'm doing it
in heels.
That's right. In heels. Oh my God, you're so right. We were totally in heels. Oh my Lord. My days.
Yeah. Did you have any like favorite numbers from Reinvention tour? You were like every night. Was there like a number where you're like, oh God, I love this show? Or on the reverse of that, was there always like a number where you're like, oh no, we have to do this again?
Oh no, I'm telling you that show was just a dream. I was just so happy to be there. I was pinching myself literally every day, pinching myself. But I have to say the ones that really stood out to me as far as I had so much fun doing was obviously Vogue because it was the opening. And I just remember being underground and like there was a whole intro. There was like that whole intro where she kind of like, it almost felt like a prayer. She was like doing this like, it wasn't a prayer, but it felt like it was just epic. And I'm underground in this like thing that's like supposed to come up slowly. And then I get popped up to meet up with the rest of the stage. And there's people coming down from the top, from swings, right? There was that whole thing happening. And I just remember being under stage and just being like, I can't believe I'm here. Like every night, and hearing the sounds of the audience, all of you guys in the crowds, just like screaming and like, my heart is like pounding, it's like I'm already on stage and the thing's open. I'm like under stage and like being revealed, right? And she's being revealed. And then it goes into Vogue and you're just like, oh my God, this is just beyond. So that number was always very magical to me. It was also like, because I was like, I can't believe I'm here every day. It was that moment where I'm like, oh yeah, this is happening to me. And I'm still here every day. This is amazing. My life is amazing. It's amazing. And really settling into that and being so grateful. And then the other number that I really loved doing was Get Into the Groove. It was like, I feel like it was a combination of songs, but we were in kilts. And
it started out and Into the Groove.
Yes, it started out with Lorne doing the Scottish bagpipes, and then it went into the Groove, Get Into the Groove, and then I think it went into God, I don't even remember anymore. Maybe you guys remember, but that whole set.
It was Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve, and it was all mixed up with that with the Scottish song, and it just kept going, and then you guys were dancing with those sticks, and I was like, what is going on? I love everything.
It was just so fun. That was such a fun number. And that ended the show like that up to the very, very end. And I remember we ended in those kilts and we're just in like white tank tops and just sweating and like running around the stage. And, the stage is going up again and the thing is closing in front of us. And it was like, basically the beginning of the end. And then the other one that I also really remembered really enjoying was, I'm pretty sure it was Die Another Day but it was a tango piece. And I just
Oh,
remember
yeah.
Oh,
really,
yeah.
That was one of the interludes. It was really good.
yeah, I love partnering. So I really enjoy doing that too. And then it went into her being partnered by 4 boys. Yeah.
I love that number. I love when she was dancing the tango with the multiple guys.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful.
So, Reshma, alongside the Reinvention tour, you guys were also shooting a documentary called "I'm Going to Tell You a Secret," which is pretty good. I love it. No, I mean it is. I watch it a couple times a year because it's very spiritual, and I love what Jonas Åkerlund did, the way he directed it, and it all works really well together. And you actually have a little feature in there as well. What was it like working with Jonas Åkerlund and his wife? Was she involved as well? Because I know that she worked on some Madonna tours as far as costuming goes, but I know that they're very collaborative and very hands-on. Can you tell us what it's like to work with them?
Well, it was just Jonas for the documentary, and he's lovely. He is absolutely lovely. I was really nervous about, it was the beginning of like it wasn't the beginning of documentary. Come on, Truth or Dare. But after seeing Truth or Dare, I was like, do I got to be careful? Like, do I need to I don't know if I want to be in the documentary, obviously, but I don't have control over the edit. That's the thing about reality TV and documentaries. It's like, you don't know. I mean, not that I have anything to hide, but it's like,
they made you the villain of the documentary.
You just don't know how stories are told. I mean, I'm also, I work in film. I know how editing works. Like a story is told 3 times over. It's told in the writing, it's told in the shooting, and it's told in the editing. And it could be a completely different story every time. So I was a little nervous about it, and also obviously so excited to be in a documentary. But I was like, how do I'm pretty sure that if I had, in hindsight, I wish I was a little bit more open and more myself. I mean, I was myself, but I feel like I was more of a safe, curated version of myself, of wanting to represent myself properly, because I didn't know what to expect, and I was a little nervous about it. But the actual, there was nothing weird about it at all, and Jonas was great, and everybody was great on the crew, and and the way that it turned out, I also really love how it turned out. I just know myself really well now, and I'm I've grown, and I know how I would be maybe a little bit different and looser now, but back then I was maybe a little bit more like, not shy, but reserved, like concerned. I also come from, I feel like I'm representing a whole people sometimes, a whole community or my whole, and so, I always feel like there's a responsibility, and I can't just fully just let go. And I know now I have the ability to kind of be both. I know myself a little bit more, that I can feel freer. But yeah, it was pretty cool to be in a doc. And I really love the documentary, the part in the documentary where they talk and they show the audition. My favorite moment in that documentary is when she literally is like, so you guys want to be on my tour? And we like jumping up and down. Like, we don't even know each other. Like, I didn't know Cloud. I didn't know Tamara. I didn't know any of these people. Jumping on them, hugging them, like so happy. I love that moment. Yeah.
Some of my favorite parts in the film are when you show the dancers, like at the audition, and one of the standout scenes is where Madonna takes you guys to see these, I think they were sisters, the pianists, and incredible performance. And Jonas focuses the camera on your faces, on all the dancers, and it's like magic, because you guys are just like, your minds are being blown. I mean, was that in Paris? Was that in France?
Yes. Yeah. Unforgettable. Yes. It was incredible.
Yeah, those women are a force of nature.
That was incredible. Yeah. Well, I was rewatching it the other night too, because I knew we were going to be speaking with you, and I loved your little special song that you got highlighted during the prayer circle moment. And I was wondering, what was that song that you sang?
So the song is it's a prayer, and it's like from the Vedas, and it's like a peace prayer. It's about unity and light. And I grew up, the one thing that my parents gave me, which, everyone, I feel like it's a different gift from their parents. Like whether it's like, oh, my dad taught me about music, like he has a record collection, or, my mom taught me about art. We always grew up going to museums. What my parents gave me was a really strong foundation in spirituality. Like, and that is a through line for me always. And so that I really wish that the cameras were in the room the first time I did that, because I feel like she wanted me to do it again for the documentary. I feel like that's my memory around it, which made me more nervous versus it just happening.
Right, of course.
Because
like, all right, you're up.
Yeah, totally. I think I had offered the prayer. Yeah, and then when you're in the moment doing it, it feels different than, okay, now I think we're gonna do the doc, which is what I mean by, well, then I have this whole thing where I have to like do it right and make sure I, blah 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 blah. But yeah, so I chose to do the prayer because that just felt like a true representation of me when it was time to be my turn in the prayer circle, which we learned quickly that everyone takes turns to tell a prayer in the prayer circle. And so automatically I knew I was going to do this prayer because I grew up doing it all the time, every day. I still pray. I still have these prayers that I say. So yeah, it is. I always find it really interesting because people don't know where it's from. So they think it's a song or maybe it's from me, but it's not. It's like, it's totally a sloka and it's an actual peace prayer. Yeah. I did not make it up. Sanskrit. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and so you also got a very special dance solo in the Hollywood interlude. I was curious, what was it like to be able to dance a traditional Indian style dance to thousands of people every night around the world?
Yeah.
Right. So that has been also a very interesting story. So I feel like this is going to encompass a lot of your, possibly some other questions, but
Go for it.
coming into, I just feel like this is such a long story short. That's going to be a long story, not short. So, you enter the dance industry and it is totally like, there was nobody that was Indian. Like I was the only Indian person. Right. And, that was really hard in some ways, but also great because I'm like, oh, I have no competition. But very hard because I was too ethnic. Like people didn't know what to do with me. It was like I didn't fit a mold. I didn't fit a type, and that was really problematic in the beginning because I knew I was good. I knew I was good enough to make it to the end of every audition because I would, but then I wouldn't get the part. And I was always trying to kind of fit in, right? And that's what you do as a first generation American or anyone who is living in a country where it's predominantly something else and you're the minority, right? You're trying to fit in. You're trying to and I clearly was not fitting in. And, that was a struggle for a really long time to the point where I just didn't work, which is why what's so fast. I mean, there was a point where I actually even left the dance industry. I left because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I love dance too much. And the business is really killing me. And there's nothing I can do about the way I look. This is me. Right. And, I didn't fit in any world. I didn't fit in the Indian community because I didn't do Indian classical dance. Actually, I did American dance. I did ballet, tap, and jazz. That is my training. And so I didn't fit in there. I didn't fit in here. It's like, right. So then finally I actually moved to India and decided to give it all up and serve the motherland. I was like, I'm going back to India. I'm going to serve. And I ended up having this beautiful experience where I was working with these children who were experiencing homelessness. There's a lot of slum community, obviously, in India. And we were working on a musical with these children. And I had this moment where I was like, these children are so amazing and they're so talented and it doesn't matter. They won't be able to do what they want to do. And here I am, totally capable. And I, being an American and having these privileges, like I am cheating all of them by not following my dream. You know what I mean? And so it kind of like reignited this thing in me and I was inspired to go back again. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just change my definition of success, because what was happening was I kept putting my success on working versus like, this is what I do. It's not whether I work doing it. This is what I do. I'm in dance every day. I'm performing all the time. Whether or not I make money doing it, that doesn't make me who I am. It's if I'm doing it, that's who I am. And so I changed my definition of success. I came back to the States, and it's crazy how the world I don't think I was ready for the world, but the world wasn't ready for me either. And then suddenly something shifted when I made that decision. It was like I came back to LA with that mindset, and then the world was totally ready for me, because then all of a sudden it was kind of cooler suddenly to like be different, and and so then I started booking, because I was like, oh, now this look that I've got going, or this person that I am, is interesting now. Like finally, it's just a weird thing. Just a weird even thing. Totally messes with our identity as artists. But so getting to the story of Madonna's Reinvention tour. So when I knew that, I was like, okay, I knew there was going to be a moment where I had to freestyle. And I was like, I need to stand out and I need to be different. I know I do look different, but I need to do something that like I really stand out, because that's what she likes, And so I asked my friend who is trained in classical Indian dance. I'm like, can you teach me some steps that are like foundational? Because Indian classical dance is like, it's storytelling, it's spiritual. It is about God. Like you don't just do it. You have to be trained in it, right? And so I didn't want to appropriate my own culture. So I was like, can you show me some steps that I can do that are basic? And then I will kind of put a twist on it, right? And so that's what I did. I learned these moves, and then I kind of put a little twist on it. And then I did that for the audition. And then I was put in this like leotard, and which obviously, I mean, if you've ever seen Indian classical dance, that would not ever fly. Like we're totally covered, and like, we're in like almost like a sari, right? And so
pillows
that
and
layers and layers.
Yes. And so, it's always been like this interesting thing for me that I had to like let go of my culture to fit in. That didn't work. But then like I incorporated my culture to then suddenly be accepted in a different time. All of it is just very interesting. But to answer the question, it was great to represent Indians, but I wouldn't say that I represented Indian classical dance, if that maybe answers the question. I definitely did a fusion, and that's kind of how I would answer that. I would definitely did like a fusion of dance. So I wouldn't ever say that I did Indian classical dance, because I know what that means.
But it was infused with spirituality, because that's what I saw when you had your moment. I was like, oh, here we go. It's like,
Yeah.
And ever since Ray of Light, Madonna has really like brought that into her performances. It's that like that mystical,
yes. And Reinvention was very mystical. I mean, she brought in a lot of Kabbalah in there.
She was feeling it.
She was in a very spiritual place, and I think that's also why that tour just felt so full of light.
So then you went on the road again with Madonna, because you just had to do it again. You went.
Once is not enough.
Yeah. So you joined the Confessions tour, which I like to refer to as the most expensive looking tour in history. How did your experience differ on that tour from Reinvention? For example, how were the stakes higher, or how was the audition process? How was that different? Because you kind of knew what you were getting into this time.
Right. So for me, Reinvention and Confessions could not be more opposite. Right. So the way that Confessions happened for me was And for most of the dancers, I don't think anybody auditioned for that. And that was the first time. Madonna will always make you audition. I mean, there are a lot of artists that will always make you audition. And no matter, you've worked with her 500 times. And there's something really annoying to that.
I feel like she loves the audition process.
Yes. There's something really annoying to that and also really incredible about that. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm mad at you, but also I see what you're doing. So that was the tone and the essence and the feeling on that tour, because nobody auditioned, was very different. I feel like the vibe, and this is again my experience, because also
perception.
I didn't come in at the beginning of that. I came in halfway through rehearsals because one of the dancers got hurt. Yeah, one of the dancers got hurt, and they called me to come in and be basically to take over and learn her role, her track, and do the show. And first of all, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting a phone call, because I'm so used to like having to audition all the time for every single thing, right? So I was like, oh, this is amazing, right? And I show up and I already feel a vibe with everybody that is just like, I come in, you come into a party that's already happening, it's a little bit different than like, we got here together.
Scratch moment.
Yeah, we worked this out together and now we're here together. And that was not the vibe. Okay. I came into something that was already happening, and which was already a strange feeling for me and for, I'm sure, everybody. And because nobody auditioned, I think there were a lot of like feeling of, and again, this is my perspective, but like maybe entitlement, and I don't know, and deserved or undeserved, but I just felt that, where in Reinvention Tour, we were very humbled and like, just like children, so happy to be there, and we got there together. And I didn't feel like that was the vibe at all on Confessions. And there was a lot of like, a lot of things that I didn't know was happening because I showed up halfway through, maybe relationships and currents and tension between people that maybe I didn't know what was, there's a lot of things, feels. I got a lot of feels. Okay, guys, just a lot of feels.
Yeah, because you were just there to dance, and you're like, "What's all this other stuff?"
What's all this other stuff?
I'm not going to pay attention to what's going on in the other room. I'm just going to focus on what I'm doing.
What's going on, guys? What's going on over here? And I'm just like super positive and friendly, so I'm like, guys, let's just be cool, right? Know everyone, know what's going on. And what ended up happening, which was really frustrating for me, is that like who I was supposed to understudy didn't end up wanting to go, and so they didn't want to get their surgery, which means because she wanted to stay on the tour. Understandable. I'm not upset with her. I'm just saying the situation that happened was I ended up now having to be an understudy instead of being in the show. And that was a favor that was asked of me because, to be honest, I already did a Madonna tour. Like, I don't want to be an understudy. I don't do this for the money. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I want to be in tour because I can make money. It's like, no. I want to do this because I want to perform. So what was really challenging for me was that I had to understudy that show, which means I wasn't really doing the show very much. I wasn't really doing a lot of the numbers. I kind of came in at the end, and that's like my worst nightmare.
We were going to say when we talked to Tamara, I rewatched Confessions, and I was like, wow, the girls don't come in until like more than halfway through the show. It wasn't something that I was cognizantly aware of. And I'm like, well, what were they doing backstage during the first hour of the show? Like, they were just doing our nails.
Yes. I was doing sewing projects. I was like reading books. I was making phone calls. I was doing anything I could to try and stay energized and, not be completely bored out of my mind, because I do this because I love to perform. So for me, that's why I say it was very opposite for me, is that this tour was, that even though the show itself was so fun, it was like a party. It was not a party for me. It was like, man, I want to go out on the party, but I'm not able to party. This sucks. So yeah.
So what did you think of the artistic direction and the choreography for this show? Because it was very it was like there are a lot of very specific techniques. There was like athleticism and there was disco dancing and tell us a little bit about how, because it was completely different, absolutely different from Reinvention.
Yeah. And I feel like it was a nice variety pack. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
There was crumping in there. There was
Mm-hmm.
hip hop in there. There was disco.
Parkour.
There was parkour.
Oh, right.
Which is great. No, I totally thought that the artistic direction was great. And I believe it was Jamie King again. He's a genius. So I always, Jamie King also did the Ricky Martin tour I was on. He's a G. And I will say yes to him always. So, yeah.
Well, did you, in spite of it all, did you have a favorite number in that show that you performed?
I'd have to think about that.
The last one.
Time goes by real quickly.
Exactly.
Just rolling my arms over and over again.
I got to go home after.
Yeah.
It's like, ow, my forearms really hurt.
Yes, that box step that like time goes by. So slowly 500 times, right? I really liked, well, you know what I did get to do? I got to train in the roller skating part because I think, they were like, okay, let her learn the roller skating part. That's fine, And so I got to roller skate and I got to do that number starting halfway through. So I trained into the roller skating, which was terrifying, but also great fun. So that was nice. And then I really liked the cage number. I forget what the song was. Do you remember which song it was?
I don't want to hear.
Yes.
Know.
Yes. I love you guys. Yes. That was the dance that I had.
You know what? Sorry. I apologize for singing on the podcast. I made a promise to myself I would never sing on the podcast.
No.
Well, you just did.
Sorry.
I did.
Sorry is the name of the number.
Sorry is the name of the number.
You're right. Yeah, I like that one because we got to like fight. We got to be playful and fight and
boys against girls.
Yes, climb on cages and jump off of them and kind of be like tomboys, which is totally my inner self. So
and the outfits were kick ass in that number
the
too.
Outfits were great. Yeah, so that was fun when I got to do that.
Yeah, and then Madonna put you guys on display. You were in that that H&M ad campaign, and also on the cover of the Get Together CD single. She's never brought her dancers out and.
Yeah, you were like a supermodel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my other dream come true, you guys. How do I do that? I'm not 6 foot tall, so how do I do that?
Well, I recall seeing that campaign all over Times Square on the big Jumbotron, so you were bigger than life. So
yeah, that was fun. I'm all about style and fashion and modeling, so that was
bring it on,
really
right?
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
bring it on, bring it all on,
So
and all that H&M clothes. Now
right.
I don't.
Who's going to turn down free clothes?
Who's going to turn down free clothes?
Come on. So a good friend of mine is originally from India as well. And so I had asked her what would be a really great question to ask for the Indian culture out there. As a first-generation Indian woman in a very white-dominated industry, what has your experience been in the entertainment industry itself? Do you see the industry at large opening up to other South Asian women? What's been your experience? And then what's your advice on how other South Asian women could get into the industry?
Well, the answer is yes. I do think that it is opening up. And it's slow. Change is slow. Real change is slow. But I do see potential and I see it happening. Like I said, I was like literally the only Indian girl in LA for a long time. And now I'm seeing more young kids coming in and I'm just so happy to see that, And anytime I did see a fellow Indian person, it was like seeing a unicorn. We would literally beeline to each other and hug. I'm like, who are you? And they're like, who are you? And so I'm so happy to see that there are more South Asians coming into the dance world. And I think they're seeing that, I think the world is slowly catching up, and they know representation matters. And that is something that I really believe in. And I'm always going to be here because of that. And I will represent. And what I would tell people is that, it's funny, my advice just keeps evolving over time when I have been mentoring, and so like over time, what I would advise people just keeps changing, or evolving or shifting, depending. But one thing I think stays true across the board, no matter what background you are, but especially if you're a minority, is that it is a last man standing game always, and so it doesn't matter, this is something that I heard somewhere, and it really stuck with me, that like, it doesn't matter how talented you are, how beautiful you are, how connected you are. It is a last man standing game. So perseverance is key, and that, you got to ask yourself why you do, what you want out of it. And, for me, it's always been longevity, and it's always been representation, and it's always been because I love what I do. And so it's really easy. It's like, if you think about why and what, and if those things aren't checked, then maybe you should think of to do something else. Because if you don't love it, why are you there? One, it's like, especially as a dancer, it's like, you better love to dance, because it's a really tough, rigorous profession. And it is not common that every dancer works or I've been super lucky, with timing. I can't put it all on me that, I'm just such a good dancer. There's a lot of good dancers out there. And I'm very aware that like a lot of it has to do with things that are outside of my control. And so, just knowing that, and like, if you love what you do, that definitely helps. And, knowing why you do it, and if why you're doing it is still the reason why you're doing it is still igniting the engine in you to do it, then continue to do it. And for me, it's always been because I love it and because representation matters. And I am someone who believes in, perseverance and tenacity. And like, I will stand out. I will work as long as I need to work to get to point B. And I know that could be like in 100 years, but I have that patience, and so, don't compare yourself to other people, just be inspired by others. Don't compare. Really, really appreciate the process, because half the time the process is more enjoyable and what you remember over even the product. I feel like, what else would I tell? Oh yeah, I already said, like, make your own definition of success. That's first and foremost. And also that whole idea of that it's not just you. There's like, this is going to sound super spiritual, but go with me. I really think the universe is listening. So I feel like if you're working towards something and you're staying true to who you are, it'll meet you, and just really trust in timing. Like that whole story I talked about, the India story, that's timing. Like that concept that the world wasn't ready for me. And that's why I wasn't really working. And then realizing, but I wasn't ready for the world, because I was comparing myself to others. I was defining my success this way. And now once I knew who I was ready for the world. And then both of those things together, boom, and you don't know when your timing is. Everyone's timing is different,
Reshma, one great example of how impactful representation is, like seeing ourselves on stage, is when you open up La La Land. You're in the first frame, and when I saw you on the big screen in that yellow dress, I was like, oh my god, now I kind of know what kind of film I'm in for. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that I'm not just going to see white faces for 2 hours.
Right.
Now I know that this is going to take me somewhere I did not expect. Can you tell us how you ended up just literally opening
dancing on a highway in Los Angeles
with so much emotion? Oh my god!
Oh yeah,
so
that was, again, I know that goes up there with the Reinvention tour, La La Land. Can I just say that? So I got La La Land because I ended up being hired to be skeleton crew for Mandy Moore, who is the choreographer for that film.
Mm-hmm.
And so skeleton crew is basically the group of people that was hired to help create, help facilitate the movement that the choreographer is putting together. Basically the bones of like what is then to become casted and like performed on the day. Because there's so many moving parts, especially with the film like that, with so many people and so many. There was a lot. Those weren't easy production numbers, and especially the first one, Another Day of Sun. I mean, it encompasses more than just dancers. It had like BMX bikers and skateboarders and a bunch of cars and singing and like there was a lot. People jumping off cars. There's a lot to choreograph. And so in order to do that properly, there's a skeleton crew to kind of like map it out. And so I was hired to do that, which is always great fun. And then what ended up happening was, I love this story so much. So people were auditioning for the role that I did. I know people were auditioning for it because I would hear about it. So somehow Mandy just put me as the girl in the yellow dress that opens the film. Like she put me there. I didn't, somehow I was that person. So I was learning that track and I was helping put it together. And then I knew people were auditioning for it. And then the director, Damien, would come in and he would, bring his phone and he would like, in the beginning stages, kind of figure out how he wants to tape it and from different angles. And he would like see me doing it because I'm the person showing him what this girl is going to do.
You're the demo.
I'm the demo. Okay. And, never thinking that it was going to be mine. Like never thinking that, because why would an Indian girl open a Hollywood musical? Like that would never happen, like in my mind, because it's never happened. So,
Sure.
And so I'm like, that's not going to happen. It's going to be like the Girl Next Door look vibes. Right. And so, but obviously I'm also me. So I was like full out, like it is mine. Like, cause I also believe in professionality and I'm like, I'm going to be a super professional and I'm going to kill the game. And so
show up, do the work, make sure people notice you.
That's right. And so I can do that. So I did that. And then I knew the auditions were happening, blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, I get a call that I'm going to actually do the movie. Right. And at that point I'm like, I knew I kind of was going to just do the movie, but I didn't know, I was just be like one of the many dancers. Right. Mm-hmm. And then it was so anticlimactic. Like no one like prepped me. They were like, so Reshma, you were cast for this part, It was like, I just showed up to rehearsal one day and they're like, so you're going to do the part. And I was like, what? I'm doing the part. Like it was kind of like on the inside, I was freaking out. And on the outside, I was like, cool, whatever. Yeah, cool. I'm going to do the part. And so what ended up happening is that I think Damien what I do know about him is he's very particular and he's very specific. And I think that after seeing me, maybe that's timing and luck again. Like, I think after seeing me doing it, this is me projecting, we did not have this conversation. I'm assuming that he just only then saw me, and then he was like, I think I'm going to go with her, I guess. I mean, I don't know, but that's how I got it, which is pretty amazing.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Here, I thought you were going to say you got the phone call thinking, you got the part. You're like, oh, I replaced Emma Stone.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
No, not quite.
Not quite. Not yet. One day, maybe. I mean, I don't want to replace her. I just want to, get to that place.
But you guys created an iconic scene. I mean, it's like parodied. It's there's tributes to it. People do flash mobs. I mean, it's crazy what how many lives have come from that. And it's gonna live on.
And I feel so thrilled to be part of something that is so iconic, like you said, and in a way that is unexpected, that I did not expect. No one expected that but I love that because, and this goes back to the whole idea of representation mattering because, I didn't think I could be a dancer growing up. I grew up dancing. I was a kid who went to a studio every day and danced, and competed and all that stuff. But I never considered it a profession. Even though I was obsessed with Newsies and I wanted to be a newsie. And I was like, or I wanted to be a Michael Jackson dancer. But I mean, I never thought that it was a profession for me because I didn't see myself in the shoes of those people because there was nobody like me doing that. So I just assumed it wasn't for me. But that's what's so mind-boggling is that I grew up seeing dance in shows and in movies and everywhere, but I just never associated it to me, even though it's something that I did growing up. I just okay, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to study biology. Like no one ever nurtured this path. There was nothing out there showing me that I could do it. I didn't see myself represented. So it wasn't for me. That is so powerful because what ended up happening is now I got to open this movie, right? And then what I get emails from young Indian, South Asian girls and boys, and they're just like people who look like me. Not even South Asian, just brown people. Like it doesn't have to be South Asian. Yeah. But just people just being like, I cannot believe you. I'm so and seeing themselves, and that just opens your mind, and I didn't have that. And I'm so glad that I get to be that. You know what I mean? No, and that full circle moment incredible. Was really incredible for me personally.
In doing the research, I encountered some articles from Indian newspapers and they were just like love fests, They're like, it's like this Indian girl's in this American film and, and then they're like, update, the film is up for an Oscar. It's so cute. But I mean,
local girl does good.
Exactly. But no, I mean, I love that. It's, one of the things that we love about Madonna, especially me is that, the first time I ever saw gay men of color on stage dancing and being themselves without fear of, reprisal was on a Madonna stage on the Blonde Ambition. And then from there, she's, continued that tradition and you're a huge part of it. So, bravo.
Thank you.
In addition to being in lots of iconic movies, you've also done some iconic television. I mean, The Good Place, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Parks and Rec, Glee. I mean, you've been on every award show that comes on the air, Oscars, Emmys, Grammys, Golden Globes. What's one or two of your highlights that you've done TV-wise? I mean, I loved Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and The Good Place and Parks and Rec. I mean, some of those shows are just amazing shows.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because that was a really fun episode.
Yeah, you did that, the Lady Boss song.
Yeah, oh yes, I did Lady Boss. That's right, I did that with her. But I also did this one where there was an episode where she was going to her therapist, and then her therapist was like prescribing her all these medications, and it was about medication and that anyways, it was a really fun number, and we were like in the waiting room, as people going into therapy, but then we break out into song and dance, and then we're tap dancing by the end. It was like a lot of fun. She pulls out a pair of tap shoes out of an orange medicine bottle, and that was really fun. And she's lovely. I mean, she's a wonderful person too, which it's super rare to find somebody who's so talented and also so kind and generous. And I love it when you find people like that. Yeah, she's wonderful.
Nice.
The Oscars obviously was another fun one. Always do the Oscars or the Emmys. Yeah.
Just because you get to rub up against all those famous shoulders,
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, hello, Brad Pitt.
That's right. It's such a production. And also, I really, I got to do a show called Hit the Floor for 2 seasons, which was really fun because...
that was the Jennifer Lopez dance competition, right?
No, that was a VH1 show. And it was actually a scripted show, so it was a narrative. It wasn't a documentary, but it was long. It was so that's okay. It was like the drama between the basketball team and the cheerleaders and the management. It was all about basketball, and I was a Devil girl, and basically a Laker girl.
Now I have to watch it.
Yeah, lots of drama. It's kind of soapy. It's like it's like Bring It On meets
Oh, I'm definitely watching it now. Okay.
It's fun. It's fun. But I got to do that for 2 seasons, and that was fun because I got to really I was on set every day for like months. I mean, I was part of the show. And then,
Hey, don't knock a steady job, right?
Not knocking that.
Exactly.
Never. Never.
Hey, Stefan, is it time for my favorite part of the podcast?
I think it is. Reshma, for all of our guests, we like to do a little bit of lightning round. So this is just meant to be off the top of your head, wherever you're at in your Madonna journey right now today. So without thinking too hard, favorite Madonna song?
Okay. Do I have to pick one? You really like picky about that?
You can pick 2.
You can pick 2.
I'm gonna go with 3.
Okay.
Because off the top of my head, I always like La Isla. La Isla. Okay, La Isla Bonita. I don't know why. I always liked Rain. Rain always stands out to me.
Well, it's gorgeous.
So good.
Gorgeous. Yeah. And the song that I'll always like sing to is Like a Prayer, just because it's so gospel.
Classic.
Yeah.
Those are my
favorite
in this moment.
Favorite Madonna music video?
Okay. I really like videos that tell a story that are kind of like film and cinematic.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that like really like stay imprinted in my head. And so I feel like the ones that were like that, there was like a bullfighter, and I think it was like Take a Bow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just really love the visuals in that.
Mm-hmm.
And Express Yourself was also like that, super cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Human Nature is also a really good one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it was, I mean, I don't know.
Well, the dance in Human Nature alone.
The dancing. Die Another Day is another like storytelling, and it's like, there's like a little cinema.
Oh, Madonna against good Madonna.
Yes. I like videos like that. But then,
Yeah.
I also really like when it starts to when there's a lot of fun, which is why I liked music, was also kind of like a little movie, where there's like talking in the beginning and then. Yeah. Anyways, I can go on and on, but like those are the ones that like stand out, as far as being imprinted and visually in my brain.
Favorite Madonna tour, and it does not have to be one that you were on.
I mean, I have to say Reinvention tour. I mean, it just is.
It's a fan favorite,
and I've seen all of them after, and I'm like, I still love Reinvention tour. Like even though even as far as watching. And maybe it's just because maybe I just am so biased.
Yeah.
I'm biased. It's fine. I can be biased.
I don't know if you know this, because Madonna was on that conveyor belt during Nobody Knows Me.
I loved that number, by the way.
Every single Madonna, well, not every single, I'm not speaking on behalf of all Madonna fans, but a large majority of Madonna fans, when we go to airports and we see the fast path walk that they have, the conveyor belts in the airport. For the most part, most Madonna fans think of Nobody Knows Me.
I have never done that.
All the time.
Stop.
I do too.
I always think of it. Whenever I see one, I'm always like, I need somebody to like cue up Nobody Knows Me, and I'll just do the choreo.
I'm not even kidding. It was that part of the show. It was one of my favorites to watch. Like, it was so simple. It wasn't intricate or crazy or like lots of flashy things. It was just her on a conveyor belt. And I was like obsessed. I watched it, I mean, we did the show so many times, and we rehearsed it so many times. So I saw that number every time, but I never got tired of watching it. There was something about the way she walked and then like on beat, and then she would like face the front, and then
Madonna walking on that conveyor belt. Heaven.
It was so satisfying. So simple.
It's just attitude, and like it's perfect. It's a perfect moment. Favorite Madonna look, and it can be from a video, a tour, a photo shoot,
real life.
Real life, yeah.
Well, I have to say that I just liked her natural. Like there was a moment in time, and I don't remember what that moment in time is. Close to when I was doing Reinvention tour. It was like between when Ray of Light, between Ray of Light and Reinvention tour. I don't know the timeline of things, but like she was doing this like her natural golden like locks, and everything was just very natural. I just found her. It was like when Lola, I don't know if Rocco was born yet, but Lola was.
Yeah, that was our Mother of Rocco phase from music to reinvention.
There was something just real. There's a photo, and I can't remember where it's from, but she just is it's just natural beauty. I just really have always liked that photo of her. Yeah. I don't mind her in Rain either with the black hair.
Yeah.
That always stood out to me too as well.
Oh, that's dark white skin.
Yeah. I mean, Justify My Love, that look, the Marilyn Monroe look was really nice too.
She's got a lot. There's I mean, she's not hurting for good looks, that's for sure.
No. Not mad.
Reshma, we're so happy that you were on the show today. We loved talking to you, and you bring such great energy, and it's so welcome right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving us some LA sunshine.
Of course. It's my pleasure. Thank you for asking me. Had a very good time tonight.
Well, everyone, that's our show for this week, and we'd like to thank our very special guest, Reshma Gajjar, for joining us today. You can find Reshma on Instagram at Reshma Gajjar and on the web at reshmagajjar.com. You can look on our page and see how that's spelled, but do it. Follow her. And
we'll tag her up. We'll tag her. Don't worry.
And you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at MLVC Podcast, on the web at mlvcpodcast.com, and we are streaming wherever you listen to podcasts. So share the podcast with your friends and fellow Madonna fans, and rate and review, and give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Why not?
And Reshma, what is we had Luca Tomasini from Italy on last week's show, and he obviously gave us an Italian farewell. What is a proper Indian farewell?
Oh, Lord. Well, in Gujarati, we would just say "Aujo."
Oh,
no,
so
but
simple.
It's so simple. "Aujo," and the obvious one that you guys all know is "Namaste." That is very common
yes,
in
of
India.
course.
But yeah, that is. Or else
I wake up every morning saying namaste, so it's my mantra. All right. Well, we're gonna say goodbye.
Thanks so
you,
much
everyone.
again, Reshma. Thanks for everyone for joining us. Until next time.
Until next time.